Evening, good evening, good evening. I still can't figure out what the point is of saying something three times, especially the greeting. But so many people do it, all these things, and I don't know why. Not everybody, but a lot of people do. Anyway, sending out the notification, let you know I'm up in here. Make sure that's on, so I'm getting the feedback. Got my fans and AC on, not turning that off, so hopefully it's not interfering with your ability to hear me. Hence, I got the Bluetooth on. We'll kick off in a couple of minutes. Got on early just to give it a chance to get the notification out that I'm present and accounted for. Now, don't front on the subject. You know me. Hang tight with me for a minute. You know, I'm pretty confident I'll give some insight that will cause you to say, okay, that was legit. That's legit. So don't front on the word flirtation. Because there's definitely something to it for sure that we all need to give some attention to. Married or not, as a matter of fact, actually. And again, we'll kick off in a minute. And I'm going to announce this throughout the broadcast, but this will be my last Thursday night broadcast until probably middle of August. Now, it doesn't mean I won't jump on at indiscriminate times just to shoot the breeze with you all. But as far as Let's Chat is concerned, this will be my last official broadcast and to take a hiatus. Like, how many subjects are there? You just never know. Anyway, so it's 9. You know me. I get rolling. People come and go as they, and I know with Facebook, it's pretty much, you don't even have to completely come on to the video for you to be watching. So you could just be on the page and it'll play. That being said, let's get started. So, flirtation. What is that all about? Well, flirtation is a way in which people communicate. It's not necessarily a type of communication, though some might suggest it is. I didn't technically look this one up. Just a second here. I don't think it's going to say, behavior that demonstrates a playful sexual attraction to someone. Very interesting, now that I looked it up. Interesting. Especially since one of the synonyms for flirtation is trifling. Didn't know that. Didn't know that might come up later in conversation. Anyway, so it's a type of behavior, it's a type of way of carrying oneself in communication. Now, of course, we live in a day and a time in this country, for those who are on my page who are in America, where men and women interact with each other, men with men, women with women. Now, you know me, I don't get into that discussion necessarily, but if you are of that disposition, you can apply it how you choose, okay? But I don't get into that in terms of my discussion about men and women and interacting. I don't get into that. That's your thing. So, flirtation. Now let's just put it out there. There's the, let me pick my words here. I won't say innocent, but there's that really light kind of flirtation, a quip back and forth between two mutuals. In other words, people who probably know each other, and they're just saying something to each other, and you can spin it a little bit in a way that's playful. Again, that's one of the words, playful, right? Most people, even if you don't feel like you're good with words, as I hear people say, well, I'm not really good with words, but you still can be playful, right? In particular, men and women. That's when we talk about flirtation, that's what we're talking about. Let's just get with it. But then there's the extreme. And obviously that's what we're pretty much here to talk about. And the question is, how do you define what is extreme? Now, the reason why this is actually an important discussion, anybody ever heard of PC? And I don't mean personal computer. Anybody ever heard of being politically correct? And what has happened is, now I'm 47 years of age, so I kind of cross enough time to where, I don't know if men still do this, but catcalls, I would have been young, obviously, but catcalls, walking by construction sites is kind of how movies portray it. Police officers talking to some woman who's been pulled over, stuff like that. It's kind of how movies and shows portray it. But catcalls. Now that's technically under the umbrella of flirtation. Technically. Gay, really? Yeah. Teasing, trifling, toying, dalliance, philandering. And there is flirtation. And of course, I have some men and women here. And women flirt too. We're not going to suggest that they don't. But I would imagine that there are women who feel like typically it's going to be men that go too far with it. I'm not saying that I have not come across, I'm not getting in my business, but I have come across a woman or two who I felt like might have been a little too flirtatious. Yeah, she was married, or they were married over the years. But the reality of it is, there is, and I suspect some of you women here, and maybe even men, would agree, there is a such thing as too far. There is a such thing as taking it to an extreme. But my question out the box, you know me, I don't waste no time. Let's get to it. How do we determine when it's extreme or too much? Now, I already put out there PC, politically correct. And flirtation includes compliments. I've been told by women, Gabe, there's even a point when I get tired of compliments, where they feel like even compliments are weighted with something, are loaded with something, they sense an ulterior motive behind the excessive compliments. And so even though it's a compliment, they feel like compliments can be extreme. Unwanted compliments. Now, I'm just putting out there what I've been told over years and years. First of all, how about the fact, just the unwanted piece? Men or women. And I'm not even getting into touching. We don't even have to touch the touching piece, the fondling. But of course, catcalls. Some of you might say, well, Gabe, that's catcalls. I'm not into, or the one-liners, Some, of course, again, feel like, now notice what, I have to do this. I don't usually do this, but notice how I can't go to anything absolute. This is what makes this subject actually substantial. And by the way, if you go, well, I'm married, does being married actually stop this? Come on. Men, women, talk to me. Does being married stop this? I've been told that by married women that in fact sometimes being married with a nice big chunk of ice on your finger seems to cause more to come. Now I know for a fact, obviously I'm never going to say names on this stuff, that there are men who prefer to flirt with married women. An emoji I use a lot. They actually prefer to, here's another identification for flirting, hit on. Now, ain't nobody gonna talk to me today. You ain't gotta give nobody's names. Just come on, be honest. Come on, ladies. Whether you're married, engaged, dating, the likelihood is at least one of you has run into a gentleman, I say a gentleman, a man, who despite you having to say, hey man, I'm in a relationship, bruh. But again, Flirting can be as simple as just a compliment in passing, where he may not know or she may not know that you're in a relationship. So I ask the question, is that harmless? Is that harmless? Could we agree that that is harmless? I don't know. I'm just putting the questions out there because I want you to have some idea where we're going. Should there be no flirting at all when you're married? Oh, I'm going to get in trouble today. I love it. I love it. See, ain't nobody going to speak up on this. I'll get a message on Messenger when I'm done. I promise you at least one person is going to message me on Messenger and say, I don't agree. Well, Gabe, I didn't want to say nothing, but I don't know why. Come on, speak up. We all live in society. We're all engaged. We all walk out of our doors. It's, at some point, you got to go to the grocery store. Some of you go to the gym, go to a kid's graduation, grandkid. You eventually, you're going to be in the company, and again, no disrespect to other sides, to that whole community, but of the opposite sex. And irregardless if you personally only have eyes for one. I love it when women tell me, oh, Gabe, but somebody might say something to me, but I only have eyes for my husband. Congratulations. I am so proud of you that you only have eyes for your husband, for your boyfriend, for your fiance, or whatever the arrangement you have. Congratulations. I don't necessarily believe you, but okay. Okay. Because the moment you make a comment about an actor, an athlete, somebody you're watching on TV, you are admitting that you don't have eyes exclusively just for your... Yeah, but just because you ain't never met them doesn't mean that your eyes are exclusively set on your significant other. Remember, a compliment is a form of flirtation. Now, of course, it has to be given too. But I just, that whole thing, I only have eyes. I only have eyes for you. Whatever. How romantic. How romantic. Nonsense. Anyway, I ain't here to try to break up nobody's relationship. But the reality of it is, this ain't really about how a woman looks or how a man looks, how a man or woman is built or what their social economic. Flirtation supersedes, from what I know, it ain't got nothing to do. Now, you might receive it based on how you perceive yourself. We could have a conversation about that if you want to, but the reality of it is, I can speak as a man. If I give a compliment to a woman, I don't care how she sees herself. I think I better say that again, because I don't think some people understand. Women don't get this. A man compliments a woman because he wants to, not because she feels good that day or because she's really liking her own look. This is her favorite blouse or dress, or her heels are banging, or whatever term y'all use. Men in particular compliment, i.e. flirt with, whomever they choose. And unfortunately, yes, whether they are married or engaged or single or dating, I know, ladies, we'll get there, I think. Might be too dangerous. But the reality of it is, from a man's perspective, men have always been willing to give attention to whatever and whomever they wanted, which I think is one of the things, ladies, y'all don't particularly like. Somebody talk to me. Y'all don't particularly like about flirting. Not that you hate flirting altogether. You might even do it from time to time. Don't tell yourself. But there is, particularly when you get into a relationship, a discomfort that is created because you attach, watch this, watch how serious it gets. You didn't see this coming. Because you attach flirtation with anyone other than you to relationship fidelity. Tell me I'm wrong. Tell me I'm wrong. Tell me, somebody tell me that I didn't get that right. All I need is one to agree with me that, in fact, there are some women, I won't say all women, but there are some women and men who attach even a compliment as infidelity, as the possibility of infidelity. And it arouses jealousy. Well, why are you complimenting him? Why are you complimenting her? You don't say that to me. Hey, I figure. See, now look at how quickly this can get so serious. So if the man or the woman attaches flirtation to infidelity, watch this now, and they are struggling with insecurity, which oftentimes breeds jealousy. Woo! Anybody see how serious that can get? See, y'all saw that word flirtation, and you thought this was going to be a light discussion just about men and women talking to each other and giving compliments. No. This is serious. I have had, even pastorally speaking, conversations, yes, mostly with women, who tell me, Gabe, I don't trust him any farther than I can throw him. And when I say, has he done anything? They say, no, not that I know of. Stay with me now. Not that I know of. So I go, well, what's your problem? Because just the way he carries himself. I'm a man. I'm not stupid. I know what you mean. You mean flirtatious. Yeah. That's what you mean. Come on, be honest. The way you watch his body language. Oh, wait, flirtation ain't just words? Of course not. You watching his eyes. You watching him track. You watching his body language. You checking to see if he drop your hand when somebody walk past that you might perceive that he think is attractive. And unfortunately, there are men who do that. I'm not saying we don't do it. I'm just talking about the flirtation side. I'm talking about the fact that I know for a fact fellas who I've also talked to who said, Gabe, I had to drop her. Why? Because she's too jealous. Man, did you do anything? Now, I'm only telling you what most of them say. No. But then how you know she's jealous? Man, I can't even be in the same room with another woman, and she automatically thinking something. Now, again, I'm a dude, so I'm not stupid. I know that brother probably looked, and she saw him, and he made contact with his eye. I'm glad I'm single. I would have had this conversation. Be a little rough through here. Anyway, since I'm single, let me talk the way I want to talk. No, I probably talk the way I want to talk anyway. But anyway, so the reality of it is, now again, there's two sides to this. There's two, and again, men are the same thing. Maybe not as much or as overt about it, but same thing. Same thing. I see it happen all the time. Grocery stores, it don't matter where I go. I see it happen. I sit back and watch it. I see a brother walking with a man walking with his woman, no matter what the relationship status. But they walking together, they holding hands, or whatever the case may be. Then I see maybe a lady who works at the place, or somebody walk past. You know how y'all move, ladies. You know how you move. And that brother, eyes come out his head, trying his best. Now, depending on the situation, she might be looking him right in his face. I be feeling sorry for that brother. He get in that car, she gonna wail on him. She gonna wear him out. So let me ask this question and get in deeper trouble. I'm not in enough trouble, apparently. Flirtation. I'm not talking about did anything in terms of got a number. That's obviously more than flirtation. I'm not talking about trying to connect on Facebook. I'm not trying to talk about get to third base or second base or whatever. No, I mean just walking past each other, conversation, eye contact, smile, compliment. So I use the word extreme, but look at what I'm describing. And I think if we're all honest, if we're all honest, maybe not personally, but we know somebody whose relationship either end up breaking up or is constantly contentious because of this very subject. It is constantly contentious. Have you ever heard something like this? Well, if you're going to keep accusing me of cheating, then I might as well do it. Have you ever heard that before? Have you ever heard, you're just being jealous? You need to get over it. It's you that's got the problem. Have you ever heard that? Have you ever said it? Ladies, have you ever been in a relationship with a domineering man who struggled with your attractiveness in terms of your attractiveness to other men? Have you ever said or had to say or had one of your female friends say to you, I keep telling him, girl, I don't want nobody else. I don't care if they're looking at me, babe, hun, sweetheart. I only have eyes for you. I've heard men say some of the same things. And do you know what's at the core of that in terms of activity? Some measure of flirtation or perceived flirtation. We haven't even got into flirtation necessarily. Actual flirtation, how do you deal with that? What do you do with it? What do you perceive of it? We're just talking about the supposition of flirtation, in particular for people who are in relationship. Now, obviously, I've had conversations with men and women who say, hey, as long as you're going home with me. And I don't know if that's exactly true either. That seems a bit extreme to me. I'm just being honest. So you don't mind if they make an eye contact and googly eyes and compliment? Well, gay, that's not what I mean, but that's what you just said. You do understand if you say, hey, as long as we're the ones going home together, you're cool with what? You're cool with people paying attention to the person you're with? Is that the level you're talking about? Or something else? See, if you've ever watched my Thursday broadcast, you know me. You know what I like to say. We don't think this stuff through. And we don't deal with our own internal issues, which there's nothing I can do. If I'm going to talk about flirtation, I got to talk about our own internal perception. Who do we see ourselves as? And how is that informed, watch this now, our ideas about flirtation? Some of you may be sitting there going, Gabe, I don't even give any thought to it. No, you don't give any specific thought to the term. But I promise you, if you've been in a relationship of any substantial level, boyfriend, girlfriend, husband, wife, fiance, and whatever, I ain't gonna go into all them other ones. If you've been in any position where you have feelings for a man or a woman, maybe y'all weren't official yet, but you were talking to each other, you went out to dinner, and you're sitting there, and the waiter or the waitress was either handsome or attractive, or somebody walked by and they're sitting in a booth next to you, and you come back from the bathroom and you see him or her googly eyeing the person across the table. All of a sudden now, even though you may not be in a deep relationship, so even then, you process it. You may not call it flirtation, but you process it like it is. See, I'm catching it now in the flirtation conversation before you get to we're in a deep commitment. We married, but if you're married, stay with me. Is there extremes to this? Yes. We haven't necessarily gotten into it, but I want to start here in the first half. I want to put this out there. I think that we really have got to, men and women. Men are just as jealous as women. Women are just as jealous as men. There's envy, there's strife, there's low self-value, self-worth, etc., or there's overvaluing oneself. The notion that a man or a woman should only be attracted attracted. That's just base level human interaction. Human pheromones, if you're watching Shrek. Sorry, Shrek reference. Sometimes I do that. There is something basic in human beings that allow our interaction. Let me tell you what my father taught me. Gabe, there's a level of flirtation in every interaction. Obviously, he's talking men and women. Now again, no disrespect to the LGBTQ plus community. I'm just saying. There is a level of flirtation in an interaction. Laughing at jokes and playfulness, because remember, playfulness, right? Playfulness. Now, it doesn't mean you're acting on anything. It doesn't mean that. But here's another thing. See, ain't nobody gonna talk to me, but that's okay. I'm gonna do my thing. Here's another one. And if you've done this, don't identify yourself. Have you ever heard somebody do this? Maybe you've done it. Got in the car with your significant other. So, did you like them? I saw you looking. Did you think she was cute? Did you think he was handsome? Have you ever found yourself wanting to ask the question whether you did or not? You saw them look. You saw their body language change. Maybe you saw that person looking back at the person you were with. You saw a mutual moment, just a few seconds of eye contact. Now, I don't do clubs and bars and casinos and all that stuff. But I have heard enough stories that tells me that's not a place I want to go. Even if I get married. Again, I'm not taking a significant other, a wife, fiance, girlfriend into those spaces. Not going to do it. Because those are places oftentimes charged with that energy because people are there in some sense with that intention. Now, obviously you can't stop it everywhere. But those are places that are for that intention. People are going often into bars in particular and into clubs. Single people, not just people in relationships, go into those spaces. Of course, you add some alcohol. Now, in a lot of states, you add some weed and whatever. And now, inhibitions drop. And now the possibility of flirtation increases. You see where I'm going with this? I don't particularly venture into those spaces. There are people who do. More power to you. Again, I'm not here to talk about that. But if you venture into those spaces and you partake of the scenery, again, alcoholic beverage, maybe a little weed, maybe some candies and some other treats that's out there these days, brownies or whatever. And I don't know if hookah has any kind of inebriative elements to it. I don't know anything about that stuff. But if you get into family barbecues and on and on and on, there are all kind of spaces where singles and married couples come together with a sense and potential opportunity for the single people to mingle. And in mingling, there is obviously a high level of flirting. So let's say you're married, but somebody ain't got on a wedding ring. Uh-oh. Often men, I admit, for whatever reason. Don't give me the reasons, Gabe, because he said it, I don't want to hear it. But a lot of times, people go into those spaces. I've heard enough stories to know. I don't have to go into them. I've heard enough stories to know that those places are flirtation central. Cruises. I will share this. I was married, second marriage. I went on a cruise. My wife at the time won the cruise. We went on the cruise. Of course, we don't know who's going to be on the cruise. It so happened to be that they had a group of singles, men and women, who were on the cruise. I knew I was doomed because the person I was married to, God rest her soul, she passed on, was a very jealous, very insecure person. If you know who she is, just leave it to, keep it to yourself. She was very insecure, and like I told you, insecurity breeds jealousy in a relationship. Let me tell you that again. Right? If you're taking a note, write this down. Insecurity is a hotbed for jealousy. I'm telling you now, insecurity is a breeding ground for jealousy. If you struggle with body image issues, if you struggle with what happened to you in a previous relationship, he or she cheated on you 47,922 times, which I know nobody's been through, which is why I gave that ridiculous number, and you were loyal and you were dedicated and you didn't do nothing wrong, and you started judging yourself, and you tried to hold on to the relationship or all kind of stuff, and you get out of the relationship that was toxic and you should have got out a long time ago. But anyway, you get out of that relationship and you want to get back into dating, and you don't get any counsel, you don't deal with all the things that welled up in you, and you don't realize jealousy, a root of jealousy is now in you, and you don't realize it, and now you're in another relationship, he loves you, she loves you, as far as you know, and you go out together, and then you go to a place like a bar or a club or a casino, or you go on a cruise and they're singles, or you go to their family dinner, or they come to your family dinner, or whatever, and you got family members there who might not respect boundaries. They might not respect boundaries. It happens. And so they're sitting there talking, and they think they can get away with it because, of course, you're at a family thing. So they figure they can stand there and talk to you because they're just trying to get to know you, and you feel a little uncomfortable because their flirting is going too far. And I know this happens. Nobody got to talk to me. I know it happens. I've talked to y'all. I've talked to enough people to know, especially females. They go with their significant other to a barbecue or something like that. It ain't no club. They go to a family reunion. They go to a funeral. They go to a wedding. And they get hit on by family or other invited guests. Hey man, who is that? Oh man, that's my cousin. You don't know what's happening, that they're talking and they're plotting. They see your man standing there. As soon as your man go off to talk to some family, which is just natural, you should be able to survive by yourself. Well, while he's away, here they come. Hey, so you married? Oh no, we're just dating right now. Oh, okay. He think that's some license. That ain't no license, bruh. We're dating. Anyway, so that's a whole other conversation. So the reality of it is, flirting, that's one level. Let's flip to the other side. Flirting when you're single. Flirting when you're single. Again, I asked the question, what's extreme? There are some old school fellas, and I hate to do this because I love my elders, but I watched it when I was young. There are some old school fellas, ladies, like to rub your hand, right? And I'm talking about, I saw it in church. Like to rub on your shoulder. Come on, ladies. Y'all not going to talk to a brother. I understand. You don't want to talk about the deacon or the preacher or the music man. You don't want to talk about him. I'll talk about him. I'll talk about it. I've seen it. I'm sitting on the drum. I'm sitting in the choir loft, as they say. I'm sitting in the pulpit. Doesn't matter. I'm sitting out in the audience. I'm listening to the brother standing up over the pulpit. I'm sorry. Let's just be real. You know me. I don't pull no punches. And they're straight up flirting. Oh, look at the ladies. Look at the mothers on the mother's board. Brother about 65, and he's got a little drool rolling down his chin. Oh, you mothers, y'all looking beautiful. Half of them sitting there. Pastor, you just too much, Pastor. Woo! First lady wouldn't allow that. Yeah, she's sitting there mad. Oh, you can see steam, right? I know it when I see it. I'm the son of a pastor and wife. My parents' friends are mostly pastors' wives and pastors. Mostly. I have seen this more times than I care to admit. But I've seen it in other places too. Rubbing on the hand, rubbing on the shoulder. Here's one. Putting that hand right there between the back and the buttocks and the buttocks. A little bit too low. In church when they say give somebody a hug and they come find you. So y'all don't want to have this conversation now, huh? You didn't think I could go here. I've been around 47 years and I've been paying attention at least about 44 of them. Okay, I say 40. I've been paying attention for a long time. And I've been in front of audiences my entire life. So you best believe I have watched this. And by the way, this just ain't men to women. I was a young preacher in my 20s, first wife, and a lady was invited to the church, and obviously I'm not going to say any names, a pastor's wife came to the church, and it was for women, but I was in ministry. Obviously I was at 19, so I was in ministry already, and my dad asked me to come down, my mom asked me to come down, unlock the church, and just kind of make sure there's a man there, because it was a Friday night, and so I did. And so I'm a minister and I'm there and I play the drums. My sister played, I believe, the keyboard. So they asked me if I would open in prayer. I did. I was obedient. I opened in prayer and I played the drums, and that's all I did pretty much for the rest of the night. I sat there. It was a woman's thing. If I had a cell phone back then, I wouldn't have been paying attention. I probably would have been sitting there. Yeah, I said it. Get mad if you want to. I don't care. So I didn't have a cell phone at the time that I recall, so I'm just sitting there. It's for women. Well, they put this lady up to speak. One of the members of the church and asked the pastor if she could come. She came. He said yes. She came. She spoke. Now, she went off on me for how I was praying, whatever. I'm like, oh, okay. I think she just attacked me because I was young and I was the only male in the room. Now, I don't think she put together that I'm the pastor's kid at this point, pastor's son, but whatever. So at the end of service, because I was raised well, I went to greet her. She is a visitor to the place where I go to worship. And regardless to the fact that I wasn't a fan of how she did me, I'm still going to show her respect. So I went up and I shook her hand. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. And not only did she do that, but she extended an invitation to go to breakfast. Now, I will admit, I was naive. I didn't quite know what the breakfast reference was. I'm not going to get into it now. But I didn't know at the time that a reference to breakfast was because there would be events that would take place previously sometime during the evening, and then you go to breakfast. Now, my mother is 10 feet this way. My wife at the time is standing on one side. My aunt, via marriage, is standing on another side. And apparently the lady was not informed that this is more or less a family type situation. So she's flat out inviting me, whom she just railed in her message, to breakfast. And of course, I got some sense and said, no ma'am. Now, because I was married to a person who was jealous, remember, insecurity breeds jealousy. That's all I'm saying, men and women, insecurity breeds jealousy. I had to hear about it, not just from my wife, but from my aunt, who was going off. My mother was absolutely embarrassed, of course. I don't know what the other ladies thought because I didn't bring it up. I wanted it to die immediately. I did not want to have no more conversation about that lady and her antics and her flirtation. Now, I would call that extreme. Remember, the question still sits there. What do you call extreme? I would call that extreme. Because even though she might not have known that it was a family-oriented church, congregation, and I blame the person who invited her, but it's neither here nor there. It was over 20 years ago. The reality of it is that was still inappropriate. She was married. She's a first lady of a church from wherever she had come from. That was clearly inappropriate. On top of the fact my wife is standing there, my aunt is standing there, my mama is standing there, my sister's standing there. That was clearly inappropriate. So it happens women to men. And I've had other incidents over the years. I'm not going to get into them, but I've had people say things to me and, whatever. Anyway, and I will admit, I've even had men. I'll admit it. I've had men come on to me. Just saying. And I suspect some of you ladies can admit that you've had women flirt with you. And you had to say, excuse me. I'm not going to use the phrase y'all use for obvious reasons because my son is 15 feet away. But you have to let them know that you prefer the male anatomy. Is that a nice way to say it? So the reality of it is, this is an actual subject, ladies and gentlemen. And as innocent as flirting can be, you pass somebody, you give a compliment, on and on and on and on. It can also be very shame-filled. It can also be extreme, where you have some, and I hate to say it, but some men, now that was a pretty extreme case for me, but you have some men who are not just giving you compliments, I mean, they're physical with you. Not just rubbing your hand, and even just putting their hand in the small of your back, just above your rear compartment. No, I mean, they all on your arms and your hair is so nice. No, I'm like, I've seen, and I hate to say it, I've seen older men do this. Like they grant themselves permission. I've heard about this in nursing homes. A lot. I'm going to leave that alone. My grandfather, before he died on my dad's side, we were told that he was physical in his flirtation. So again, I'm not just saying it's just all one side. This kid now, he was old. He died at 72. They felt like he was harmless. But the reality of it is, he was a ladies' man, So I'm not making that right. I'm not saying it's right. I'm just saying that he carried that forward to his death, basically. So again, what's the extreme? And now the next question, as we wind it down, what do you do? What do you do if you're getting unwanted flirting? Whether you consider it to be lighthearted or whether you consider it to be extreme, what do you do? Men and women. See, for men, a lot of times, if we get unwanted attention, much like I experienced in my 20s, in that particular situation, we don't really know what to do with it. I'm going to just tell you, ladies, we don't know what to do with it. If you get a man who is loyal and fidelis and he's really into you or into his relationship, and somebody is flirting with him, which can happen, a lot of times, we don't really know how to handle that. I hate to admit it, we don't. Well, Gabe, you just make an excuse. No, I'm telling you the truth. Men, when women flirt with us, we don't have any playbook on what to do with that. Either we're flirting back or we're running. I mean, what do we do? What are we supposed to do? Especially if our mate is somewhere nearby and it's happening, maybe a waitress or something. And she doesn't, she came to the table and you went off to the bathroom. And so she's flirting. And as she's flirting, you walk up. Maybe he didn't get a chance to tell her, hey, I got a girlfriend, or whatever the case may be. You know, maybe he didn't get a chance. I don't know. These situations are all subjective. You never know. If you notice, I keep doing this. I can't give you any particulars because each situation is so unique. It is. So again, I'm asking the question. Now, ain't nobody gonna talk to me because you don't want to put it out there. I get it. I'll see you in my messenger. But the reality of it is, what do, ladies? What if you're not the jealous type, or you don't feel you're the jealous type, and you see, ladies, some woman flirting with your man, husband, fiance, boyfriend, or potential? Because I understand for some women that's significant too. He's somebody you've been talking to. Maybe you're not officially in a relationship, and so there ain't no rings on, ain't no people don't do promise rings that I know of anymore. So you're sitting there and you've gone somewhere to a beach area, or sitting by a pool. I don't know. You at a soda shop. I know that's soda shop. You're at Starbucks. I don't know. And you see somebody is flirting with the gentleman, and you may not even be in a deep relationship yet. Do you let it go? Do you check him on his response? Do you check her? What do you do? What about if you are in a relationship? What have you done in the past? If you feel like that smile is a little too much, she's switching them hips. Now I'm sounding like an old woman. She's switching them hips a little too much. She's showing off way too much. Because see, women can flirt in a far more intensified way. Because women can wear a low-cut top. And present that whenever she don't do what the old mothers used to teach the young women to do, which is do this. No, she just bends right. Hey, I've seen this stuff in church, in a place of worship, many times, many in businesses. Remember PC, politically correct. I'm not trying to defend men, because you know me, I'm tough on men. But what are we supposed to do, ladies? When we got a coworker and she's a flirt, what are we supposed to do? What do you do? What would you tell the men in that business? And this lady is intentionally wearing low-cut V-neck, tight pants, whatever. Now, he might be a brother who's trying his best not to pay, a man trying his best not to pay attention. I'll grant him that. I think you're innocent till proven guilty. But what do you do? What do you tell that brother to do? That's your male coworker. Let me take it away from you, relationally speaking. Let's say it's a male coworker, and you got a female there who, I'm not saying is loose or anything like that. Don't take it there. But she's flirtatious. And he's married. And he tries just to come and just move along. But you can see she's intentionally trying to get his attention. Do you tell him something? Do you just tell him to hold on for dear life? Do you just leave him be? Do you pull him aside and say, hey man, look, I got much respect for you. I know you're married. I met your wife, or I know you got a girlfriend. I heard you talking. Yeah. Look, Sally, Sue, Jane, whatever her name is, she's a little much. And your name has come up. Oh, it has? Yeah, I'm just telling you, man, watch out. Or are you of the mind my own business? I don't want no drama. I don't want nobody getting back to me. And just leave it be. I feel sorry for him. See, this subject of flirtation is really a subject of communication. The subject of flirtation, and I appreciate that. As a man, I appreciate that. I'm going to tell you right now. Because honestly, we're not always paying attention. I hate to admit that, but men are not always paying attention. I'm sorry, ladies, you just assume because the lady's breasts are falling out of her top that you assume we all down her blouse. No, we got tunnel vision issues. Sometimes we so busy trying to take care of whatever we taking care of, we're not even paying attention. Until somebody points it out, of course. Then we, oh, okay. So the reality of it is, I appreciate that, just personally. I'm just gonna let you know. So the reality of it is, this is far more than just flirtation. It's communication. You're communicating not just with this. You're communicating with this. The fact is, flirtation can be done with almost your entire body. My father talked to me about quite a few things. He talked to me about eye contact. And I end up marrying someone, second wife, first wife too, really, who, man, if my eyes crossed somebody, if they thought that person would be someone that I would talk to, I got the riot act. I mean, I was, as a matter of fact, to the point, my son's mother, my last wife, she was like, you don't make eye contact. She noticed. And I was like, nope. And I explained to her why, which was too much jealousy. It didn't matter. Oh, I look up like this. And I've been in ministry since 19. So I have to talk to women. There's nothing I can do. And no matter how much I explained that, it didn't matter. No matter how much it was obvious, it didn't matter. It didn't matter. They had low self-value issues, and I didn't make it any better. I got married at 19. I got into ministry at 19. I was extremely immature, so it's not all on them. And even though I wasn't necessarily trying to do stuff, I didn't make it better by going off on them. Oh, I did. You just need to get over yourself, and you just need to do it. And I just blared at them. Women, you know men will. You know we do. And women as well. You just jealous. You need to get over it. You need to I didn't make it better. I didn't ease the situation at all. Because I just felt like that's just immaturity. Go figure it out. What's wrong with you? Now, obviously, I've grown and I've found some maturity somewhere in my lifetime. But when I was younger, through them first two marriages, and I'm not blaming them, I blame me. I was extremely young and stupid. And I wasn't finna take this jealousy. Now, I call jealousy immaturity. But guess what? Jealousy is not a sign of immaturity. Jealousy is an indication that there is something not quite right. I'm not saying you got a mental issue, but jealousy comes from somewhere. And don't just go, well, I'm just like that. Don't excuse jealousy. If you want to be in a relationship, don't excuse jealousy. Now, I don't normally do this on Thursday, but the Bible says jealousy is as cruel as the grave. Jealousy has led to murder. You remember that one lady who bought adult diapers and drove from one state to another? I forgot where she was, but she drove all the way to Florida and tried to kill a woman. Jealousy is off the chain. And as a young man, I didn't handle it well, I admit. Well, in the process of time, I got to the point I didn't make eye contact with women. And probably still struggle with that from time to time. To this day. And I've been in front of the public since 3-4 years old. Singing. Playing music since 8-9 years old. And I'm still... I gotta tell myself when I'm doing it, Gabe, make eye contact. And I've been single 6 years. And I'm still... And every once in a while, somebody will catch it, and they'll be like, Gabe, hello? Oh, my bad. Yes, how are you? Because I still got that message, but that first two marriages covered 15 years of my adult life. 15. So basically, I got engaged at 18, and by the time that second marriage was done, I was in my 30s. So, it covered 15 years. And I was very self-conscious and looking all over the place. Ladies, I'm telling you, let my testimony be, there are men out there who stay away from relationships because they've dealt with that kind of jealousy and they're afraid to smile at anybody. They don't even want to blink in the direction. And many of these men, watch this, are pretty good looking fellas. Why do you think they would suffer with that? Because they've gone through it. And y'all want that tall one, right? Y'all want that brother 6'1", 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. You want him 6'8". You don't understand. That brother, if he's 6'8" and got a little bit of muscle definition and he has dealt with women who are jealous, He don't want to deal with that, man. He'd rather be single or just play the field instead of get into a relationship. And you think he got a commitment issue. He does. It's called jealousy. And he don't want to deal with that madness. Now, they're not going to tell you that. I'm telling you that. Because if he has a personality that is very congenial, well, a congenial personality is one of a person who will be comfortable with what we call flirtation. So I'm asking, nobody want to answer me, but I'm answering the questions again. Because all I want you to do, don't answer, that's fine. I want you to think about it. Especially if you're single and you want to get into a relationship and you know you've had some issues in the past where you took flirting and you started assuming or believing that that was already a sign of infidelity. You need counseling. And you didn't even see me stutter. You need counseling. And notice I didn't say man or woman. I don't give a rip if you a man or a woman. You need counseling. Don't get into another relationship with all that garbage sitting on your heart. If you barely can take somebody, a man who you're talking to, watch this. Here's how you know. You're standing there talking to a male coworker, right? Or you just talking to somebody at your church, a male. Nobody you even interested in. And his natural inclination when a woman walks past is to acknowledge her, to look at her. And if something wells up in you, even though you're not in a relationship with them, guess what? You have a jealousy issue. Fellas, if you're standing there talking to a woman, not even in a relationship with her, a coworker, somebody at the gym, and you're talking, and a man walks by and looks at her, and something wells up in you, you have a jealousy issue. And you will not do well in a relationship, period, let alone with someone who has an upbeat, winning smile, let alone personality. That, women, listen to me. Stay away from that dude. Because he might have the seeds of a man who will put his hands on you. Oh, I said it. I'm not talking about abuse tonight. I might need to do a broadcast on it. But understand me. If you want any kind of indication, a brother who might put his hands on you, you standing there, and I mean, brother, I mean just a man, you standing there having a phone conversation. I mean, you talking on the phone, and oh, I'm sorry, somebody clicked, and you click back over, and you say, hey, you there? Who was that? Red flag. Well, dude, we just talking, ain't none of your business. And if you find yourself having to explain, you have an issue too. Just like I did. And still kind of do. You probably dealt with a jealous man or a jealous woman, and now you explaining stuff you don't even have to explain because you might have said good morning to somebody of the opposite sex. Because you might have smiled when they brought you the menu and you were smiling at a waiter or a waitress of the opposite sex. Y'all don't understand, man. This is serious stuff. Because that's an indication that that person's got a jealousy issue. And I promise you, if you say it to them, they'll flip out. No, I don't. No, I don't. I'm tired of people telling, wait, somebody else told you that? Yeah, my last girlfriend kept telling me I got jealousy issues. Lady, find the exit, leave a tip, and get out of there. Get in your car, or ask him to take you home. Whatever you got to do, get out. Don't play no game and say, no, Gabe, you just judging too harshly. And then when he punching you upside your head, and when he all through your phone, and when he digging in your purse, because you didn't want to listen to me, because you think I'm hating. I don't know you. I'm talking in general. But whoever I'm talking to, as we like to say, to whoever this is for, I'm telling you right now, you ain't going to be able to handle the flirting. You ain't going to be able to handle track shoes. Matter of fact, get you a Maserati, get you some fast car and go. Change your address, your telephone, whatever you got to do. You don't ever want to play games with a jealous person. Period. And if flirting sets them off, and you didn't even really flirt, all you said was good morning, all you said was have a nice day, and you smile your beautiful smile, and they said, excuse me, or they looked at you and you felt the heat coming off them eyeballs, get out. I ain't playing. Get out. Man or woman. Dude, don't be arrogant. Oh, she just playing. Dude, she'll put sugar in your gas tank. You'll wake up with a knife to your throat. You ain't gonna ever leave me. All this crazy stuff. Hey, there are women out there who'll do it. Brother, don't act like you got too many muscles for her to come up upside your head. I've been told about this stuff. And I've had conversation, which I'm not going to get into because that's personal business, but understand, I have talked to people who have admitted to me they got jealousy issues. Well, if you got a jealousy issue, you can't handle being in a relationship with somebody who's flirting. Now, directly to those who are engaged or married, I know those are very serious relationships. I'm not telling you to leave them, but I am telling you to find a way to tell that mate they need counsel. That is a dangerous. Well, Gabe, we've been together 30 years. I just learned to live with it. Did you? Let me guess. You live a half life. No, I don't. Yeah, you do. Yeah, you do. You barely go anywhere with your husband or your wife, right? Come on, tell the truth. Tell the truth. Be bold enough to tell us the truth. You barely want to go anywhere with them. And when you do, you're extremely conscious of your surroundings. You try to overdo it in terms of how much affection you show them. As soon as another man or woman walks into the space, you get all in their face. You hug it all up on them. Even they like, man, what you want? Because you know how they are. And no matter what you do, like my father told me, Gabe, you can't fix nobody's insecurity. Gabe, you can't fix nobody's jealousy. And I tried for 15 years, marriage 1 and 2, and he was right. Those marriages ended, ladies and gentlemen. Those marriages ended. Now, there were a whole lot of other stuff that went on, but you can't fix those issues in people. And if you know you have a bubbly personality, you know you're the type to smile, you know you're the type to be congenial, which I told you has an element of flirtation in it, which really is harmless for the most part, then you would do well to stay away from a jealous type. Well, I agree with you, Kelly, except here's the problem. Most people who struggle with jealousy are not open people by virtue of their jealousy issues, or they will lie it away. Oh no, I ain't jealous. I ain't jealous. I'm not saying they're liars, point blank, like, you know, where were you? Oh, I was down the street. You know they were not down the street. I'm not saying that, but they have a tendency to not be transparent because they don't want anyone to know. I know this is a little bit deeper than you thought I would go, but they don't want anybody to know. So they could be flirting. Now, don't misjudge this. Watch this now. You ready? It doesn't mean that if they're flirtatious, that they're not jealous. Oh, I'm talking good tonight. Just because you may be dealing with someone who is themselves flirtatious doesn't mean they're not jealous. See, sometimes people get confused. Oh, Gabe, you know, it's just harmless. He flirt too. No, man. There's still something that happens in him when he sees you doing it. He trying to cover it over by flirting himself. But eventually, where were you? Who were you talking to? Who you on the phone with? I'm talking to my brother. Yeah, you ain't talking to your brother. Don't he get off work at 5? Yes, he does. Well, it's 2 o'clock in the what you doing talking to him? And now you sitting there, oh, because he got off early. Oh, he did? Oh, okay, let me text him. But that same man who's finna text your brother to see if he's on the phone with you because he don't believe you, jealous, is the same man you saw in the grocery store Googling googly eye and 2 or 3 women. Don't mix those up together. Just because some person is flirtatious themselves doesn't mean they're not flirtatious. I agree. But then you got to ask yourself this question. You got to ask yourself, okay, I agree, but ask yourself this question. How is it that so many people end up in relationships with jealous people? And this ain't just 21st century. This has been thousands and thousands of years of this. How is it that people end up in those relationships? How? I ended up in one back to back. My son's mother was not a jealous type, but them first two was. Make no mistake. And in truth, part of the thing is, watch this. I didn't mean to go here, but let me do it real quick. That's why I said, how do you interpret flirtation? How do you interpret extreme flirtation? What do you consider? Because part of when you use the word honest, you have to understand that's interpretation. And we have this phrase that they've coined in the last, 3 or 4 years, live your truth. You understand the danger? I did a whole broadcast on that. Do you understand the danger of a phrase like live your truth? What that allows me to do is be honest with you according to whatever I deem to be the truth. Oh, I'm on it tonight. Bring it. I'm on it. See, so if I believe that it's okay for men to flirt, double standard, you know where I'm going, but it's not okay for women to flirt, I ain't gonna say that to you. Now come on, women. You know the brother ain't gonna tell you that unless he's just a male chauvinistic pig. I said it, men. Stay with me though. Don't get mad at me. Ain't no man gonna actually speak his double standard because he don't see it as a double standard. See what I'm saying? Because his truth is that men were born to flirt. His truth is that men are born to have multiple situations. As far as he's concerned, he's just doing what's natural. But his woman better be focused, dedicated, fidelis, loyal. She better not even blink in the wrong direction. And he ain't gonna have no conversation with you that allows you to recognize the double standard until he slip up. Oh, it ain't gonna be to just sit down and let's have a conversation. You ain't gonna, let me ask this question. Women, have you ever had a conversation with a man and went, excuse me, are you the jealous type? I have not met one woman that I know of that will just flat out go, so let me ask you something. Are you the jealous type? Huh? What? That's your first question? No, I'm just trying to get to know you. So I know people deal with jealousy. Let me ask you, are you the jealous type? Tell me a little bit about your previous relationships. What would you do if you and I were together? Ladies, I'm helping you. Fellas, I'm helping you. What would you do if you and I were dating and some man came up to me and he was talking to me and I wasn't trying to reciprocate, but he was flirting with me? So what would you do? Ladies, you get the hint? This is something to ask. You starting to get serious with a brother? Ask that man. Hey, so let me ask you something. Yeah, go ahead, boo. Go ahead, babe. Yeah, so, before we get any more serious, can I ask you? Sure. So what would you do if a man was flirting with me when you walked up? What would you do? And then check him. See what he say. Now, again, I appreciate words like honesty, and I'm all for it. But let's be real. What if he says something like this, ladies? I'm almost done. What if he says something like this? Hey, all is fair in love and war. How you taking that? So y'all ain't gonna talk to me now. How you taking it, ladies? If he tell you all is fair in love and war, what you gonna do? See, because do you really want him to be jealous? Or have you really? Okay. Do you want him to be jealous? Do you want him to lean more towards maybe a bit of a jealousy type? I heard that. I heard that. So you see what I'm saying? So I appreciate what you're saying. Honesty, yes, I'm with you. I'm transparent I'm probably more transparent than any man you met in your life. But the reality of it is, when you live in your own truth, and you get to, I did a whole thing about privacy and all that, and about what is private and what is secrets. So you have to understand, you got to be a little clever. You got to be a little clever on this thing. Hey, I heard that, but again, I'm with you. I'm actually one of those ones, this is going to be over soon. Honestly, because I've come to a point in my life, let me just speak personally. I've come to a point in my life, I got stuff I want to get done. I'm a little closer to 50 than I am to 25. I'm a whole lot closer to 50 than I am to 40. So if I do get into another relationship, I want to know that we're going to work together. And I don't mean work together to build our riches and all that. Hey, no disrespect. That's not gay. If that's what you're talking about, miss me with all that. I'm talking about working together to build a bond, right? To build a genuine bond. When my dad got cancer, my mother was there. When my grandmother got sick and moved in, my dad was there to provide so that my mother could take care of my grandmother. That's what I'm talking about. You need a bond for that. You got to have a real union for that. That's what I'm talking about. That's what I'm talking about. I've been married to, and my mother-in-law passed away. You got to have a bond in those moments. You can't be playing those silly games when people are dying. You can't be playing silly games when you get diagnoses. You can't be playing silly games when pandemics come and you losing jobs. You can't be playing silly games with people. I ain't got time for jealousy. I'm a public figure. Ain't nothing I can do about it. If you got a jealousy issue, just miss me. Just miss me. Just hey, no, Gabe, no. Because if somebody walk up to you and say something, I'm going to be mad. Hey, cool. I'm cool. Hey, no hard feelings. No hard feelings. I get it. Because guess what? If they walk up to me and say something to me, I don't care if they're drop dead gorgeous. I'm going to do my job and I'm going to speak to them. I got to get over it. You got to get over it. That's how I go. So to me, and I'm not super flirtatious, but the reality of it is I'm still congenial. I'm nice. I'll make you laugh. That's just my personality. Now, you can take that as flirting if you want to. Okay, I'm not going to argue with you. Do you understand what I'm saying? I'm 47 and a half years old, soon to be. I don't have time to try to figure out if I'm talking this person and she looking sideways because she think I'm saying two words. See, I shouldn't have said hello. See, it was the hello that got her. When I smiled and said hello, see, that's when it set her off. Nope, miss me. We done. Finished. Bye. Nope, not going to do it. I'm telling you right now. Done. Point blank done. Not going to do it. I don't have time. I don't want to get in the car and have an argument about the fact that I laughed and a woman was standing there. And you didn't know what was going on, and you walked up, and I was laughing, and she was laughing, so you figure I got her number, and I'm going to meet her at a hotel. I'm done. I ain't even going there. So this subject is serious for me because of what I've been through. 15 years out of high school till the age of, 33? 33 years old. No, 32 years old. I ain't got time for that, man. I ain't got time. I'm sorry. I don't. And I actually recommend that y'all get serious about it. If you know you can't handle somebody flirting, not just with you, but potentially with your man or your woman, then you really need to step back from relationships altogether and ask yourself some tough questions. Like, why can't I handle somebody smiling? Why was I jealous all the time? Now, after you get through blaming everybody else, then you got to start looking at yourself if you know those feelings are still there because everybody else is gone. At some point or another, there's something going on in you. And you might have to get some actual counseling. You might have to work out those issues. I'm not saying you got to be single all your life, but I'm saying if you go into a relationship, you're going to be that big old T word that nobody wants to hear connected to them. Toxic. Straight toxic. Oh, I'm letting it be known now. So you think if I'm letting it be known publicly, I'm not going to tell her? First of all, as soon as I say I'm a preacher, as soon as I say I'm in ministry and I'm standing in front of people, I would hope she's got enough self-awareness to process in her mind. If you dating an athlete, if you dating somebody who's a CEO and he's got men and women on his staff, if you can't handle him working closely with females, I was a school teacher. I was a teacher's assistant. 99% of the people I work with are women or were women. Who's the one sitting in the pews and in the seats at church? It's women. I'm a musician. Women. Look, man, I'm a singer, a musician, a songwriter, whatever. I gotta deal with women. There's nothing I can do about it. Period. Till the day I die, I have to deal with women. Now, I done got over myself. I need whoever will try to step to get over themselves. Now, again, you don't actually have to. You don't have to. You know, you can just move on. I just say be mature enough to move on. That's all I say. And I'm saying to all of us that we need to be conscientious. And flirting is base level. Now, you do have the extremes, you know, rubbing on your hand and all on your shoulder. That's extreme to me. The lady who was talking about let's have breakfast, I didn't know what it meant in my 20s. I know what it means now. Let's have breakfast, you know. She wasn't talking about, you know, go to breakfast, show up at the same time. She was talking about something else, and then we have breakfast later. That's what she was talking about. I knew what she meant. I didn't know what she meant, but I don't now. So the reality of it is, if you know you are not one for public figures, I think you ought to respect yourself enough not to really deal with somebody in the public. And what if you're in the public? Is it wrong to feel like you don't want someone who is as public as you are? In my opinion, no. 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 I don't think so. I don't think so. I don't think it's wrong to want someone in your life, if you know you're a public figure, you are a public figure, so you know what it is to have men or women or both hitting on you. You know what it's like to have them coming after you. You may not be so ready to be in a relationship with. Now, if you feel that's a double standard, hey, I respect you. We can talk about it at another time. I get it. But I'm just trying to use some wisdom. See what I'm saying? If you know you don't really want to be constantly having to deal with competition, which is a whole other thing. But again, flirting, recognize it's there. It's a real thing. To some extent, we all kind of do it because flirting at its real base is just, you know, kind words and maybe a compliment or whatever the case. And women are typically able to give compliments in a way that has no sexual anything to it. I understand that. You can give compliments to women and men equally. I get it. But let's be honest, ladies. While that's true, if you have a lady these days walk up to you and give you a compliment, there's compliments coming from the same sex, and I've seen this happen too, where it feel like coming from a man. I'm not gonna get into it. I'm just putting it out there. I've had conversations with women who have told me, "Gabe, I didn't feel I didn't feel comfortable. I didn't feel comfortable after homegirl, you know, gave me a compliment. You know, it's like, oh, thank you, but you know, she was looking you up and down. You know. Anyway, I'm done. I'm over my time. So again, flirting itself, not a big deal, I guess, for most people. But when you start putting in the nuances, and let me say it again, live your own truth can be dangerous. Because if you live in your own truth and let everybody live their own truth, just because you're saying let everybody live their own truth doesn't mean you don't get impacted by their truth. It doesn't mean that you're exempted from the effects of their truth. And as I told you, some men feel like it's okay for them to flirt to whatever level. But their woman better not flirt. And we all know there are fellas out there who feel that, and that's that own truth piece. Remember? He's living his own truth. And he may not tell you that up front. You might actually be all the way deep in a relationship before you even realize it, because you don't come across a lot of men on a day-to-day basis, so you're not even thinking about it. You're not thinking about it. You are really into him, so you're not thinking about it. So he makes a comment one day, and you let it pass because you know that's not you, right? But I wouldn't do that. I wouldn't just let that, even though you know you're not the type to cheat, you're not the type to be looking all at other men. If you hear him say something that raises those antennas, please don't let that pass you. Please, ladies, don't let that pass you by. At least ask him. What do you mean by that? Huh? Yeah, because you know, one, I'm not doing that, but I noticed, overheard you say something about, yeah, if my woman did this, and I'm sitting here, standing there listening to you. What do you mean? Even though I would never be guilty of that, explain to me what you're talking about. Because you don't want to deal with a person who's jealous. Because if you even smile, if you say good morning, if you just, oh no, go ahead, you're welcome. I'm telling you, this thing right here is brutal. When it's out of control, especially men are physical beings. We can get real physical. You know what I mean? You know what I mean? We get real physical. I got a couple of friends right now, both married, and unfortunately, their husbands are physical. It's unfortunate. All kind of reasons. And some of it is jealousy. In one particular relationship, I think it's 30 years old, 30-year-old relationship. Jealousy. And it shouldn't matter if the woman is attractive, fellas. It shouldn't matter if the man is handsome, ladies. Again, what does that have to do with it? They have a winning personality. If you just can't deal with somebody who's congenial and makes you laugh, well, I like them making me laugh, Gabe, but I don't want them to make other people laugh. Do you understand what you're saying? I gotta touch it, because I am a bit of a jokester. If you want a man or a woman who can make you laugh, but only you? Huh? Does that make any sense? Now, I make old people, young people, white people, black people, blue people, green people, poor people, rich people. I just make people laugh. No, I'm not going to become a comedian, obviously. But I've been making people laugh since I was a kid. Grown, didn't matter. I make people laugh. Now, to some, that's flirtatious. I know for a fact there's probably at least one woman, statistically speaking, right now, don't say nothing because I know you don't want to anyway, who will admit that you consider somebody being able to make you laugh, you know, flirtatious and welcomed. You want a man who can tickle your funny bone, right? See, so you understand, if you can't handle stuff like that, if he can only tickle your funny bone and he can't make another woman laugh outside of his mama, his sisters, you know, maybe a couple of cousins, his grandma, you know, come on, his aunties, you in the wrong business. Relationship is not for you. Or you're dealing with the wrong situation. You got to go get that boring dude. How you doing? Good. You having a good day? Yeah. What you gonna do later? Watch TV. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. But you got to get that dude. And then he won't make you laugh, but you ain't got to ever worry about him making anybody. I'm done. I'm 21 minutes over. Good night to you all. I won't be back until probably mid-August. Once my son goes back to school, then we'll come back. It hopefully will be a little cooler than it is now, because this is warm. It's warm. So enjoy the rest of, you know, basically your summer for the most part, and we'll see you in about a month and a half, month or so. All right, have a good one.